Hello everyone, Wild Willie here. As you can see, I'm in Mogwyn's palace and I've just beaten Lord Moog to open the path to the DLC. Elden Ring is one of my favorite games, and regardless of what I'm doing or what other games I'm playing, I am inevitably drawn back to Elden Ring and the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. So welcome to the walkthrough, the Get OP and early DLC. But will you say? There are plenty of walkthroughs. Elden Ring isn't exactly a new game. That's true. One of my favorite content creators, and I'll post a link in the description, is a gentleman named ThinkFishy. And he's posted a guide that will get you started and get you to the DLC. They're two separate ones. But what does that look through from a walkthrough perspective, especially if you're like me and you're a completionist and you want to see everything? So we have the entire map unlocked right up to the capital, including some of the underground regions. And this guide, the purpose of this walkthrough is to have you speedrun all of this early content, grabbing all the sacred tears, golden seeds, upgrade mats, armor, talismans, Flask of Wondrous Physics. We have a plus 10 Bloodhound's Fang. We have the Tree Sentinel or Crucible Knight set, armor set. We have a plus 10 Mimic. We have 13 Flask charges that are plus 9. We speed run Stormvale Castle to take out Godric and open up Vari's questline so we can get access to Mogwyn's palace. We speed run Rhea Lucaria so we can get Renala, and if you want to respec, because I always say to myself, you know, we're going to use the Bloodhound's Fang for this walkthrough. There are other walkthroughs using Reduvia. You could use the Blasphemous Blade, which is my favorite, for blasting through the base beam. Well, what I like to do is go into the DLC and come back, for example, and fight all the dragons using the Dragon Katana, or try to bully Malekith with the Blood Fiend's arm, or do a Milady build. You have all those options with those lovely DLC weapons to bring them back into the base game, with the base game largely untouched. So let's hop out of here and hop into a new save, and I'll pick it up with you in character creation. So here we are in character creation. You can choose any starting class you want. A couple of standouts from my point of view are the Samurai and the Confessor. But just to show you how easy this is, we're going to be choosing the Wretch. So the way I do this, I'm not doing any zip glitches, I'm not doing any parries, I'm not doing any quitting and loading out, I'm not doing any hot swaps. This is all simple R1 spamming, a couple charged heavies here and there, panic rolling galore, very basic gameplay. So if you are more advanced, great, you'll breeze through this very quickly. But otherwise, if you're a beginner, if you're coming back to the game after a long layoff, you're a little rusty, it's purposely designed to keep things simple. And we'll go over stat distribution when we get into the game, but just go ahead and create your character, pick a starting class, and then we'll see you again in a minute. All right, so we have our starting character in a loincloth and carrying a club. So let's get going. Forgot to mention, for your starting keepsake, I went ahead and chose the golden seed. You can pick whatever you want for that. We'll have plenty of sacred tears and golden seeds. I don't think it's going to affect the run in terms of where you end up by the end of the walkthrough. So let's just run in, and then we're just gonna jump off a cliff. Also, I'm gonna be skipping all the cutscenes. If you're playing it for the first time, feel free to take those in. The rest of you, I'm sure we're gonna appreciate the efficiency. All right, so for those of you who are brand new, if you hop down there, that's the starter dungeon. That's the tutorial dungeon. And there's a piece of loot there that you can get much later by hopping off a cliff. Actually, you could do that right away once you have Torrent. But we're just gonna run through here, grab a couple things, light the grace, and then we're headed outside to the first step. Light the grace. And up we go. So the Wretch I like because we start with 10 in every stat. We're going to stay at this level for a while until we get to a simple early game farm. And then you can farm up some levels. Once we get there, I'm just going to be going to 14 strength, 20 vigor, and 12 endurance. So come over here and light the grace. And you can talk to Vari if you want. We're going to come back later for him. Just heading over towards the Church of Ella. All right, it's a merchant. We're not going to talk to him. We're going to grab the smithing stone, light the grace, go out the front door, grab the golden rune, and continue on our way up to the gate front to grab Torrent. Just make sure the tree sentinel's not right there. And get going. When you're wearing a bikini and just carrying a club, Tree Sentinel is not somebody you want to go fighting. The only thing I really grab out of here, for sure, is just this root resins right here. Use them to make pots later on, throwing pots. And they're right there, so why not? So we're gonna run over here. I'm gonna skip the cutscene with Melina. We'll get Torrent, and then we're gonna head back to the first Church of Ella to talk to Ronnie to get our spirit calling bell and our wolves, our first spirit summon. And then we're gonna come back here and grab the map and the whetstone from the underground portion. So let's rest.
Have you heard? They serve, but I can play turning root to aid you. You need go to the foot.
So we want to accept, otherwise you don't get a horse, and you can't level up. And there's our spectral steed whistle.
It will summon a torrent. Treat him with...
And hang on, let me bring my game back up. So you'll notice that it's nighttime now. And one of the things I want to point out is that at nighttime there are nighttime bosses. You see those bats flying over there above my head. Sorry, we had a little bit of a glitch of the recording. Sometimes when I got voice messages from work, they kick me off my screen, which is super annoying. And I'll make sure I fix that before the next set of episodes. So anyway, for you newbies here, you can see that glowing icon here. That means there's a map icon there that we're gonna grab, or a map fragment, which will open up this section of the map. When you get close to it, it'll appear. If you're not close to one, you're not gonna see it. But anyway, back to the Church of Ella.
This way, tarnished. May I have a word? A pleasure. I am the witch. I'd heard tell of, and upon looking the talk, I so art possessed of the power to call for.
Yes, we can call forth Torrent.
I was entrusted.
And this is Ronnie disguised as Rena. All right, now we have our lone wolves.
The spirits will now it is thine. Forgive mine, and I doubt we shall. How long will it be before the time?
Exhaust her dialogue, she'll disappear. And then we are going to set up our pouch. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to put the spectral steed whistle on. Going to go over here and put on our wolves. And then we are going to hop back over to Gatefront and make it daytime. Then we're just going to grab the map fragment, grab the whetstone and an ash of war that we're going to want for our club. And then we're going to grab another grace, and then I can pull up the map and start mapping stuff out for you. I'm going to use my golden seed here. Make it morning so you can see. So nighttime spawns different enemies. It also makes it easier to sneak around. So if you know you're in an area or you're not too worried about enemies, make it nighttime. It makes it easier to run around without being seen. So we're gonna grab the map, hop over the wall, run down the stairs, hop off Torrent, open the door. And there we have War Stomp and our whetstone knife. War Stomp is going to help us later on get some invisible scarabs and some visible ones. We're just going to hop off here, light the grace, make sure no one's chasing us, and then we're going to rest. If no one's chasing you, you don't have to rest. It's just like de-aggroes people. So now we have the map. So what we're going to do is we're going to head out over here. Then we're going to head up onto the top of this hillside over here for a golden seed. Then we're going to head down here for a grace. And then we're going to head down here across the bridge for another grace right there. So those are our points. Hop back on Torrent. I'm going to point out some stuff along the way. So what is it? Box is over there and some shrubs. You'll hear him call out to us. If you really want some mushrooms, you can grab him, but we're not doing his quest. Crafting material. There's an Ash of War up here that I never get. I know it's not good. Don't even remember what it is. There it is. So we're going to sneak over here to the right-hand side of the bridge. There's a dismounter on horseback, that dude right there. We want to avoid him. So we're going to swing around to the right a little bit, and he aggroed. We didn't avoid him, so just keep running if that happens. We're grabbing the Somber One, and we're heading up there towards those crosses up on the hill. So most enemies in Elden Ring have a leash, a tether, like can't go out of a certain area. So once we get far enough away, he shouldn't be able to follow us anymore, and he'll go back to patrolling where he was. So we're just going to grab this. That's our gold pickled foulfoot. And we're just going to avoid these guys. Hop back down. Cross over the road in front of the trolls. If you ever want a caravan to stop, there's typically loot in the back. It's like the great axe, I think, is in there. You just hit one of the trolls and then they'll kneel down and the caravan will stop. The other thing you can do is you can go up behind the caravan, aggro the guards and pull them away, and the caravan will keep going. So you just whack a couple people, run the opposite direction, get them to follow you a certain distance, and then you can ride past them and ride up to the carriage and loot it in relative safety. So here's our grace. Gonna grab the mushrooms, hop back on torrent, and head for our next mark. A little off in my mark placement. We're gonna be headed back here later. This is where the Bloodhound's Fang is. That's gonna be our weapon for this run to get us to the DLC. Just gonna run down here past this guy. Now there's a ballista there on the bridge. You stay to the right, it should shoot right over your head unless you're running right down the middle. And we're gonna veer off here to the left. Grab the smithing stones, 3 smithing ones. Grab the stone sword key. And then we're gonna hop over here, grab the grace, and we're gonna go ahead and rest. So you can't really see it, it's not pulled up on the map, but the map fragment is farther down. We're just going through a little valley. There's no other way in or out. You just ride straight through. There's an NPC there. I would not interact with her. He gives you a quest for Castle Morn, which we are not visiting. So there's a carriage up ahead. This carriage, you do not have to hop off of torrent in order to loot. You can just ride straight up on it. So what I would do is just kind of come around this way and ride straight up and grab the Morning Star. That's what we want. Grab the Smithing Stone 2s. And then we're just going to ride off here. This is an arrow talisman. Don't need it. Going right past it. And you don't have to grab all the loot. I'm just a little OCD and I like grabbing stuff. But anyway, we're going to grab this grace. Don't have to rest. We're going to hop up the Spirit Spring. We want to be headed up towards that tower. So you want to come around from it at this angle. That's going to get us our shield. The Great Turtle Shell. Grab the Warming Stone. Hop on over. Next, we're headed towards that tower. This is a puzzle tower where you get memory stones. And memory stones are like spell slots. So we're going to grab a few of those as we're running around. Let's come up here, examine, seek 3 wise beasts. We are looking for 3 spectral turtles. Here's the first one. I always do this one first. Get rid of the prompt. Whack the turtle. Second turtle's down here. There are some wolves. If you go and kill the other one first, they will have walked away. If you go to that one first, the wolves will be there and you might be in for a fight. Now the third one is in the middle of this water. And just wait for the bubbles. There it is. Disruption in the water. Seal is opened. We're gonna hop up the rise. And then we're just gonna warp back to our grace. Right next to the merchant. Okay, so back over here. Now we can see our map marker. That's gonna be our next target. We're gonna try and sneak over and grab the map marker without drawing aggro from the golem that's gonna be shooting at us, so I can pull up the map and mark a couple of things. So we're just headed right over there. You can just ride up and grab it. I'm gonna try and be sneaky, so like I said, we can pull up the map, and he's already seen me, so that's not gonna work. Alright, so let's just grab the map fragment, hop on torrent, and we're gonna double back on ourselves and ride up here on this cliff. And that should keep you safe from the arrows. Just gonna ride a little ways, and then we're gonna drop down here in a minute. You can see it up ahead, the golden seed. We're gonna snatch it and go. Drop down to the right, cover for the golem, and then we're gonna cut across. And we're headed down to the beach over here to the south. And you can run down, it's just a little safer to come this way, so there's more stuff in the way. So we're gonna get a Somber 2 and an Arterial Leap. So now we have our Somber 1 and 2. We got hit by the jellyfish, and he's shooting downhill, so he can't hit us. Now he can hit me. So we're gonna move and jump. And then just to be on the safe side, I would wait right here until he fires. Okay? And now we're just gonna run in here and grab a grace, and then we're gonna warp back by the merchant. So he can shoot you here, so I would stay off to the side. We want to de-aggro him so we can fast travel. Alright, so now we have the map. So we're going to warp back over here to the Grace. Where we're going to be heading is we're going to be heading up here, so I'm just going to put a mark. And then we're going to swinging up around here into a church. I want to say that it's this right there. We'll find out how good my marks are. And then there's a Grace over here. And then we're going to hop down the cliffs, cross over this bridge, head down to grab the Faith tier. And then we are going to head up here to a church to grab another our first sacred tier. Actually, they'll be our second, because we're going to get one at this church here in a minute. So let's go do that. So just run over, talk to the merchant real quick. Want to review some things. He's got a stone sword key and a cracked pot. You'll want to pick those up later. He also sells smithing stone ones. We don't need them. Kukri, these are good throwing instruments. You can put them in your pouch and just chuck them at things to get stuff off of walls, to aggro enemies away from a group. And he's also got arrows. So while I'm not a big fan of murdering the poor merchants, this is one where I might make an exception, although don't need to do that right now. Let's see how much our runes are worth. So let's go ahead and pick up the... I'm gonna go ahead and get the crackpot while I'm here. Okay, so at nighttime, one of the night bosses will spawn here. It's a Night Rider. He drops a flail, and flails are still garbage. It is August 2025, by the way, and flails are still garbage in the game. But he will also get the Ash of War barricade, which is what's on our great turtle shell shield that we don't have the strength to use right now. So just keep following the path. Watch out for the frenzy rats and the frenzy dudes. Once you get up here into the village, we want to swing around towards the right. And we're going to ride in here. We're going to grab the spell off to our left. Mark was right on. And then we're going to grab the sacred tier. And then we're going to hop over that wall. And for me, that's the cleanest way I've found doing that. Some people hop over the wall in front of the big rat and then it's chasing you the entire time. But if you do it the way that I just did it and run in the front door and grab Flame of Frenzy, which is a fantastic AoE bait spell, you won't aggro the big rat until you've already gotten the Sacred Tear and you're hopping over the wall. So we're gonna grab this grace here. You can get rid of our mark. You can get rid of them on the map by removing them, or you can just ride through them. So we want to head over here. There's a spot where we can drop down and not get killed. So it's easier to come from this direction to be able to see, and I think it's farther over here. So come over here by the bridge, and you can look down. There it is. There's a spot that you can drop down to right there, and you won't take any fall damage. And that's for my friends who are coming to this Elden Ring from playing Nightreign. And Nightreign, you can run up cliffs and fall off them, and there's no fall damage. But in Elden Ring, the toughest boss you will face a lot of times is gravity. You will die. We're gonna run past these guys. You can farm them for their armor and for their weapon. The little tree spear. Really good weapon. It's like a dex weapon. Grab all this stuff. Ride past the big flower. There's a St. Trina's lily that we want to grab along here. There it is. Or Trina's lily. And there we go. Right there, the little shiny. That's our faith knot. For our Flask of Wondrous Physics. We'll probably get that next episode. And then we're just riding back up the cliff. Not fighting anything, just running past everyone. Grab stuff up if you want. Doesn't really matter. The thing you really want to get, I will point out. And right there, that was the faith tier. So there's the church. Just gonna ride through the front door, grab the golden seed, and then come back and rest at the grace, where it's actually a sacred tier. You can grab some golden centipedes if you want. Crafting, I don't know what they're for. So we're gonna go ahead and rest because we've got the golden seed. And we have 2 sacred tiers. Alright, so outside there's a graveyard. Graveyards spawn undead enemies. If you have a sacred weapon, you can hit them and they will stay dead if it's sacred infused. We do not have one, so we will not be trying that. The other thing I'm going to be doing is... we should be okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be running down here. There's a big mausoleum that we're going to be heading towards, a walking mausoleum where we can duplicate remembrances, and we're going to be heading into this church for another sacred tier, and then we're going to be running down here to grab a grace by this merchant, and then we're going to be running over here to a graveyard just to get some runes, and then we're going to go back to the merchant and pick up the lantern. So out here we're just gonna, that guy with the curved swords, you can farm him for his weapon. The bandit's curved sword is a fantastic strength dex weapon, especially when dual wielded. You get a pair of them. You can infuse one of them with bleed. You can infuse the other one with frost. And just have a lot of fun with that. I'm grabbing the little sanctuary stones. We'll get a cookbook where we can turn those into rainbow stones, which is good for marking pathways, invisible pathways, breadcrumbs to mark off, like in the sewers, areas that you've already cleared. Another good early armor set if you feel like farming is the Mausoleum Knight set. Does not come with a helmet for obvious reasons, but you can farm up these guys. The easiest pair is going to be right up here, right outside of the church here. Because you got a site of grace, you can just pop out the door, aggro them, and then run back inside and take them out. We're not going to bother with that right now. So another sacred tier. I'm going to hop off, grab the grace, and add this to our flask. All right, so we're gonna hop out the side here and head for our last couple of marks. Kind of work your way down the hill to the right, or to the left rather, and work your way around to the right. There are a couple of areas. There's like ruins and then another. That's loud. Okay, another area. So this merchant we want because he has the lantern. We don't have any runes, but we're about to take care of that. So go ahead and light the grace. Hop back on Torrent, and we're going to run back over to our final mark up the hill here. So this graveyard, it's going to give you a golden rune. In Souls games, you drop your souls, your runes, whatever your currency is. You die, you leave them on the ground. Golden runes are, you know, pocket money. You die, you get to keep those. These little shining skulls, thanks for showing me one. It's a golden rune 1. They're worth 200. I always pick them up. Why not? It's free money. So there's one lone wolf around here. Sometimes I see him, sometimes I don't. One wolf. But anyway, we grabbed all the runes. We're headed back to the merchant. We're going to buy our lantern, and then we're going to wrap up. Oh, there's another one. Okay, great. And you can just warp back. We're not in combat. An easy way to tell if you're in combat is if you hit sprint on Torrent, B button, because I'm playing on PC with an Xbox controller, is if your stamina starts to drop, you are in combat. Or if you try to pull up your map. So anyway, let's go talk to him. And so we want to, again, smithing stone 2s. They'll get your weapons up to +6. He's got 3 of them, so that's nice. He's got 3 stone sword keys and a lost ash of war, which lets you duplicate ashes of war. And he's got the Zweihander, which is probably like the earliest and lowest stat requirement colossal sword if you like big stuff. But this is what we're after. Anytime we go underground or a poorly lit area, we want to have this guy on our waist. So we need 1800 runes. All right, and now we're at 1900, so we can buy it. That graveyard is always going to give you enough runes in order to buy the lantern.
Have a safe journey.
So let's just go ahead and equip that. Pull up our pouch again. Come over here. Find our lantern. Put it on. Make sure it's in the spot that you want. That's good. I want to move my wolves to the other spot. And then we're going to hop on out of here. So where we're going to go next, I'm going to close out here, and we are going to hop on over to Gatefront. And then we will start the next episode from there.